Big Sky Champs bring the shine on the field. Now bring it home. L&M Fine Jewelry has the sparkle you need to celebrate your MVP. In Missoula on American Way and in Kalispell on Main Street. Shine on. L&M Fine Jewelry is the official jeweler of AKEM'S Analysis as well as the Samuel AKEM YouTube channel. Make sure you guys go check them out when you're trying to get that ring for that special person. Michael and Landy are the owners of L&M Fine Jewelry. They do a phenomenal job. They have 2 locations, like I mentioned, one in Missoula on American Way and the other is in Kalispell on Main Street. Go check them out. L&M Fine Jewelry, your diamond destination. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I got Brock Galvin with the UC Davis Football Podcast. I appreciate him being on so much. We're on here to talk about UC Davis football. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I feel like I need about 5 cups of coffee to get to your level of juiced. But I'm happy and healthy. The Ags are off to a good start. Going down to San Luis Obispo this weekend where
baby.
we were talking offline about marriage. That is where my wife and I got married. So this is our Disneyland. This is our happy place on earth. So I'm pumped, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. So you'll be in attendance for that game?
I will. Yeah. This year we're going to a lot more. I texted you. We have our flights booked to Bozeman. It's too bad there's no Missoula trip, and it sounds like you're probably not going to be able to make that game because the Grizz are at home. But yeah, we've gone to Washington. We'll go here. We'll go to Montana. We'll see what happens with Idaho and some of these others. You know, I'm not broaching the subject with the wifey yet.
Yeah, you gotta tread. We already talked about it, but you gotta tread lightly. You know, you're asking for a lot already. So then to go to more games, it's like, all right, let me pick my battles.
Yeah, 100%.
So the Aggies are off to a 3-1 start. Obviously, you probably feel like it should be a 4-1 start. But how are you feeling about the Aggies and where they're at right now?
Well, it's kind of weird, and talking to so many people involved in the program, like it's such a herky-jerky start because we had the week 0, so we're playing before majority of the country. The
2
game
bye
doesn't
weeks.
count. Yeah, the game doesn't count, and then we have those first 3 games, which we can kind of go through, but then the bye to kind of lick your wounds after 3 straight road games as well,
Yeah.
because it's so hot in Davis. They don't want to schedule early in the season.
That's
And
why.
then, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's 2 reasons why in my mind, and I'm pretty sure this is facts. One is it's very hot in Davis, California in the summer. It's been a very mild summer, I will say that. I live down in the Bay Area, which is like 45 minutes from Davis, and it's been like picture perfect all summer, like barely hitting 85. But then students, like it's a fall quarter system. So the students don't really come until the end of September. So like we've just had back-to-back home games against some FCS Utah teams, which we took care of business in. And we had massive crowds because the students were finally back. So they're trying to navigate like big crowds and it not being too hot. When the stadium opened in 2008, 2007, I believe, the first game was pre-students and it was like 108 degrees and it was just balls hot. No one liked it. Yeah.
Well, I didn't even think about that. Utah Tech, Southern Utah, and Washington sprinkled in there, but Utah Tech, Southern Utah, then Weber. That's crazy. And they're all going to be in the Big Sky next year.
I know. Yes.
So you guys are, everybody can go see how UC Davis did this year to see what they are going to be like in the Big Sky next year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when we'll get into those games, but they're all kind of interesting. And the FCS Utah schools, I make a joke. There's 7 of them. I think there's only 3. But it's not a huge state, and it feels like they got a lot of college football there, and a lot of good college football, a lot of tough college football. So it was a good test for us. Each of those games last year, Utah Tech won 1 game, right? And so for us to go to Utah, we're thinking like we should lay the beat down. We looked pretty solid against Mercer. Mercer was a quarterfinalist team like us last year. We're going to lay the wood, and it's like 24-7 late third quarter. We're down, and I'm on vacation. Like, what the heck is going on? So we'll see. We'll see. I'll get into what happened after that because it gets better.
Well, let's go. Let's get into it. Mercer, they start off really good. Mercer starts to come back. What did you see in that game? And I think it was my thoughts were Caden Penix, a young quarterback, new team trying to gel together. What were your thoughts about that game against Mercer?
Yeah, I mean, the good was the first half for sure. And I think the whole
Mm.
country, especially the FCS world who's tuned in when these games are on, like big box networks, was very impressed with Caden Pinnick. The fact that he won the job, I mean, there's 4 3-star quarterbacks in that quarterback room.
Ooh.
There's a lot of talent. Plow's the quarterback whisper. People
Yeah.
want to go play for Plow because why? You throw for 4,000 yards. Miles Hastings threw for like 2,400 yards the year before Plow comes back, and then he throws for over 4,000. It's like, oh, okay, this coach might know what he's doing
And
with quarterbacks.
he thought about retiring too, didn't he?
He did, and
Yeah.
so that's the other thing. I think players love him, but Caden brings a different element, and we saw it in that
Mm-hmm.
first game against Mercer. Very athletic, poised, like very poised for someone who's a freshman. He's not like doing big celebrations all the time or posting all over social media. Like the dude's dialed and locked in. So first half, I saw him, and I saw Jordan Fisher, who I've been clamoring for,
Ooh.
finally break onto the scene and people start seeing that speed. And we'll talk about the running back room
His
because
dad
there's
DM'd
more.
me this offseason.
Okay,
And
yeah,
he was
he's
like, be
dope,
on the
dude.
lookout for this kid, man.
He's so good. He's super fast out of Portland, Oregon. And when Len Larson's the dude, like you're not going to get a bunch of burn.
No.
What I also saw from the Mercer game was something that's near and dear to my heart because I was a D lineman.
Yeah.
Was the front four?
Yeah.
It's essentially 4 guys up there that are mostly new. Sam Golgolski led the team in sacks last year, but
Yep.
like was more of a spot package, like rush on third down type guy. But we lost Big Princeton Toki. Remember the
Mm-hmm.
big boy in the middle?
Yeah. Yeah.
Zach Kennedy was a big tree at DN who was really
Yeah.
good, and Evan Bearden. So we had big dudes up front, which is why I think there was some respect from other Big Sky teams. Like, hey, this is not just like a pass the ball around and West Coast
Yeah.
UC Davis team. Like these guys can compete down low,
Yeah.
and I think the Mercer game for me, I'm like the D line not only historically can stop the run really well under Coach Coombs, but they can really get after the passer. So
Yeah.
the second half and the short answer to what happened in the second half was I think heat and humidity. I think it
Yeah.
is just such a culture shock. You got some of that in
Fatigue.
Oklahoma growing up,
Oh
but like
yeah.
it's hot here, dude, but it's dry. Like we're fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would also say the rush defense at times this year, kind of surprisingly, has been a bit shaky, and we saw some big gash plays in that second half. And then the last point is we play with tempo, and we know this about tempo. When it's going well, you're rolling, and when it's not going well, you're off the field quick and your defense can
Yeah.
get tired. So I think
Oh yeah.
who knows what would have happened? Like we could have scored 10 points and won by 17, or we could have lost that game. My gut is we probably would have won it close, but I'm a homer.
Yeah, yeah, and that's my most frustrating thing about that game is I get the safety concern. Like, I get the cancellation. I get that there's no other way they can fly the teams back out there. Like, it just doesn't work out. But just man, like that was a big game. Mercer's starting to catch on, and like I wanted to know how that game finished because if Mercer ends up winning the SoCon, that would have been a really, really good win for UC Davis and the Big Sky Conference. So it's just like, man, like, it's just frustrating.
Yeah, and it probably comes down to money, dude. Like it
Yeah.
probably comes down to money ultimately. And the city of Montgomery was the one who pulled the plug early. It wasn't necessarily like
Ah.
a AD. I mean, the ADs had a conversation because of these wonky rules that we all found out about. Basically, when a game goes through lightning or weather delay like that, like they can choose anything. It's a
Yeah.
forfeit. It's a no contest. One team wins, the other team wins. We still have to agree on it. Well, when it's like kind of a close game at that point, they
Nobody's
feel
gonna
like
give
they
up.
have the momentum. No one's doing that. And then so they're like, well, we'll wait it out. And the city of Montgomery's like, we can't pay all these people to stay. We're not,
Yeah,
yeah,
staffers by the hour and stuff.
we got sheriffs
Yeah,
and this and that and
yeah.
security. So it's a money thing, and that's a sad FCS answer, but it's just facts.
Dang, man. Well, I appreciate you giving me and my audience more clarity on that because I was kind of like I thought, I mean, I don't know. I was just frustrated that the game got canceled. I was just frustrated because I'm like, man, these are two football teams
Yeah.
that have playoff aspirations, were playoff teams last year. Like, this game is going to matter in November. When that committee sits down, this game is going to matter. And even
Yep.
more now, this cancellation is going to matter for UC Davis because they're going to
Yep.
have one less game than everybody else. And it's just frustrating. I get the money. It's frustrating. Next
Well,
week,
you know what,
go
dude?
ahead.
It's just, and I think the thing about it is, it's frustrating from a playoff perspective.
Yes.
It's also frustrating from an individual stat perspective. Like
Mm-hmm.
Rex Connors had 12 tackles. He's got 45 tackles in 4 games. He got injured last game. Like, fingers crossed. We're a little worried.
He's the record holder
But
for career, right?
yeah, he's already the record holder for career tackles. He would have 57 tackles in 5 games if that game counted.
Ooh.
He's gonna win the Buck Buchanan. Like, the dude
Yeah.
he's that dude,
Yeah.
and that doesn't count. Jordan Fisher has almost 100 yards rushing. Jacob Syke, who's got 4.5 sacks, had a sack in that game. He'd be at 5.5 sacks. So for me, like, I'm just kind of annoyed for the guys on the team because
Yeah.
I'm just that's gonna impact postseason awards too.
Why can't they just cancel the game? But like the stats are locked in where they're at. Like, yes, the game didn't finish, but the stats still matter because they did. Those kids played those snaps. They made those plays. That should still count.
It was on ESPN. Like, we watched it.
We all
It
saw
wasn't
it.
made up. It was real.
Like, we all saw what we saw. I remember the day after because I'm going to break down the game, and I was so mad because I didn't get to look at that game and look at, like, there's no highlights, no nothing. So I was
I
frustrated,
know,
but
it's
like,
weird.
I'm looking for the numbers, and I'm like, there's no stats. There's
Yeah.
nothing.
There's like a recap on our website that has like a few of those stats, but nothing on the record books, man.
Wow. Okay. Well, the next week, or was that the next week, or did they have a bye in there? Did they play the immediate next week, or
They,
did they have a
they
week off?
played the immediate next week. We played 3 straight games, then a
Okay.
bye. Yep.
Okay, so they play Utah Tech, and I feel like this was although it didn't start how I'm sure a lot of UC Davis fans thought it should start. I thought this was a really, really good game, similar to how I see the North Dakota game for Montana. I thought this was a really good game for Caden Pennick's development. You get down, you get a ton of adversity in that game. You have to fight back, and they do, and they win that game. What were your thoughts from that Utah Tech game, and what did you see from that Aggie squad?
Well, I've said this on our podcast a lot. You don't really know who anyone is at the beginning of this year. It's like going on dates with someone. It takes you forever to find out what someone's really like, if we're honest. And
Yep.
and it's the same with college football. Like, Utah Tech won 1 game last year. They weren't that good. They had moments. I remember watching the film when they played Montana State, being like, "Oh, this could be like an okay team." No, we destroyed them. So they
Yeah.
opened the year with UC Davis, then Northern Arizona, then Idaho, then Northern Iowa, which is historically a tough Missouri Valley Conference team.
Yep.
They're 1-4. They beat Northern Iowa. They lost decently close. They lost by 7 to Northern Arizona. They lost by
Mm-hmm.
14 to Idaho, and they lost by 7 to us. So I now see some body of work from Utah Tech, and I go, I think this is a pretty tough team. It could still fall apart for them, but I think it's a tough team. They're scheduled
Yep.
really hard. So, I mean, the things that stood out to me about this game were the transfers that we've brought in started really making a bigger impact. And we did see it week 1 against Mercer too, but like some of the guys on the D line, the Harvard transfer,
Psych.
Jacob Syke,
Yep.
has 5.5 sacks on the year and
Dog.
had one in this game. Kalani Riddick is a CMU transfer, all conference guy. Syke was an all Ivy guy.
Mm-hmm.
Darrell Porter was an all Ivy guy, another D lineman. So they're all just starting to make plays, starting to get after it on the defensive side of the ball, especially in that second half. We saw Jordan Fisher pop one for 70
Yep.
in this, and the speed is, as we know, like the great unequalizer. It's how you separate yourself from
Yeah.
people, not only on the field, but just on the win column. And so for me, I see the young talents start kind of solidifying themselves with the transfers, because that's really the two things. Like, Miles is gone, Land Larson's gone, Princeton Toki's gone. How are we going to fill all these like fifth, 6th-year seniors with the COVID year? It's with grad transfers, and it's with young, talented recruits who decided not to go to a Power 4 school, even though they had that offer, because they knew they were just going to transfer someone else in there. So
Yep.
Caden Pennick did have a really good game. He struggled early, but I think the resilience to bounce back was something that stood out. So it was a solid win, and it's getting more solid as time goes on.
Yep. Yeah, I just think games like that for young quarterbacks are so important because, I mean, I talked about it at ad nauseum about the Montana quarterback. Last year, he didn't get the opportunity to really do that. You know, he made mistakes and he was pulled out of the game. Imagine if they pulled Caden Pennick out of that game at Utah Tech. Do
Yeah.
you see the same outcome as you saw? Does he get the same development? Is he able to learn through those mistakes? Like, I just think those things are so important. I think they mean so much for a young quarterback. And the fact that Tim Plow and his staff have rallied around him and has really said, like, no, you're our guy. You're a redshirt freshman, but you're our guy and you're gonna be the guy. I think it's so huge, man.
Well, and like I said earlier, a lot of really talented quarterbacks in this room. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to throw shade at the Montana stuff from last year because it does seem like Ayat has gotten, full reins and is doing his thing there. But I'm sure in the brains of some of the coaches, there was thoughts like, we're down 17. Like, this team, we're a top 10 FCS team. Like,
Yeah.
we're really good. Coach Plow has said, this is the most talented team I've coached here. He coached the
Wow.
2018 Big Sky Coach Amp. So he's
Wow.
saying, like, we got dudes. And I really have seen it up close and personal throughout the beginning of the season. So the fact that they held on, because Grant Harper's a 6-year senior who's from where I'm from down here in the Bay, really
That's a hard
skilled, talented
conversation.
guy. They held on, dude, and it paid off. But it could have not paid off. Like, it's such a close margin for error in some of these games, but it worked out. And I think, like you're saying, it was a confidence boost for Caden.
Yeah. So, do you want to get into the UW game, or do you just want to skip to Southern Utah?
I'll say this: it was a fun weekend. I mean, I went with buddies. The Niners played the next day. We made it like
Yeah.
a big weekend in Washington. I was upset. Like, I did not expect it to be 70-10. I mean, I think
Yeah.
Washington competed really well with Ohio State last week, and yet for me, I was really concerned with, like, what does that do for a team's psyche? Like, you have the Mercer game, which is just weird. It's not even a
Yeah.
tie. Then you have the
Mm-hmm.
Utah Tech game. They didn't feel good about that. They think
Nope.
Utah Tech, like, respect your opponent, and come on, they won one game. Then you get blasted by Washington.
Yep.
Who are we? What are we?
Yeah.
What are we at this point? We're 1-1. Should we be 2-1? And so I think we really got played off the field in all phases of that game. It was frustrating
Mm-hmm.
as a fan, as a player, as an alum. Um, and I think you wad it up and you throw it away and you kind of use it as like some fire in your belly. The next week is a bye week too.
Yeah.
And I will say this, like Coach Plow, and this is where I think just certain coaches separate themselves. Coming off of a bye, we're lights out. When Coach
Mm-hmm.
Plow was the OC in the Hawk years, and then these last 2 years, like, we're lights out. And so the way we came out against Southern Utah after the bye was super impressive as well.
Man, those UW, those P4 games are so interesting because, like, some people care and some people don't care. Like, when I was a redshirt freshman in 2017, we played UW and we got beat 63-7, and I thought, like, that was like my second game of the season. I think we played Valpo the first, and then that was my second game as a D1 football player. And I thought everybody knew we were gonna get beat down. And I'm on the bus, like, joking around and stuff, and my receiver coach comes back there and tells me to shut the F up. Like, we got vets on
Yep.
this game who this is one of their last games of their career. Like, why are you over here laughing, being loud? And I'm like, man, like, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in the last couple of years when we played Cal and we beat Tulsa in 2021, and
Yeah.
we were celebrating that week 20 years ago we beat Stanford. So I'm always a believer that we can compete because of the
Mm-hmm.
talent that I think we have. We we outgained Cal by 130 yards in the first half last year, and I felt like watching the entire game. I'm like, the first 60 players on each team are the exact same is
Yep.
kind of how I felt. And so I was hopeful. Washington is pretty good, and we had
Yeah.
Mitch Dixon on, who's a senior captain, tight end guy. We have a super talented tight end room.
Oh yeah.
And this week he shared, like, that's the best team I've played in my 6-year career at UC Davis, which I thought was
Wow.
telling.
Wow. That's special. So you guys go to a bye. And then you guys play another Utah team, the first of three or the second of three, Southern
Yep.
Utah, who I think currently they're 1-4, but like I feel like they're better than their 1-4 record right now. They run the ball at a very, very high level. Joshua Dye is a really good quarterback. Bronson is one of the top quarterbacks in the UAC. I think I just said quarterback for Joshua Dye. Joshua Dye is a good running back. Bronson's a good quarterback. What did you see in that game against Southern Utah?
Yeah, well, one, we had the largest crowd in our stadium's history, which is
Wow.
not a 27,000 at Montana, but it was over 17,000. So for us, that was pretty impressive. I mean, just awesome environment. They do this thing where they'll literally walk the students from their dorms over as like an orientation session and
Wow.
almost like make them go to the game, and it's
Hey.
dope. I mean, I'm like,
Yeah.
every team should do this. This is such a good idea. We get huge
Yeah.
crowds out of it. And they came back last week because we had over 12,000 last week, which is technically above the capacity of the stadium in terms of seats
Wow.
because we have like the grass end zones, if you
Yep.
remember. Yeah, so for me, I mean, two things. Defensively, I think early that it wasn't pretty. It was 22-20 at half. We
Mm-hmm.
went for two, which was like a big moment on an early touchdown in that game. But the rush defense again, I was a little concerned with, but I think offensively, just so explosive.
Yep.
And the word is speed, dude. Like the two-headed monster at running back. We've talked about Jordan Fisher, but Carter Vargas in some ways
Woo.
has been even. I mean, dude, the balance, the size, like he's a big-bodied back,
Catching out of the
and yet,
backfield.
yeah, he's had multiple deep touchdown receptions where he's like go routes or wheel routes out of the backfield, and then juking a dude. I mean, he had a run against Washington where he literally like juked a dude, hurled a dude, stiff armed a dude, and trucked a guy to finish the run. Like, I'm a little worried that people are gonna see him. Like the
Yeah.
the talent in the backfield, I'm like, oh man, I don't want people to see this from Power
Yeah.
Four schools.
No, he's good.
But he's very good. Yeah. So he had two long touchdown runs. Jordan Fisher had two touchdown runs. Both of our tight ends, Mitch Dixon and Winston Williams, caught touchdown passes. We lost Winston Williams in that game, who is the second rated FCS tight end in the country from Hero Sports preseason. Little concerned about that because
Yeah.
our running game, which has been the strength, and I think this game shows that the running game for us has really like taken another level. Which, how can you get better after losing Lane Larison in your rushing
Yeah.
offense?
Right?
Add in a really athletic quarterback
Yeah.
who throws the ball. Like, he's not just trying to take off and run all the time, and then add in two running backs who are
Mm-hmm.
dynamic. So those were some of my big takeaways. Second half defense started clamping it down. We saw sacks from Trent Carrad. We saw
Mm-hmm.
sacks from Sam Goligoski, and then Jacob Sack Syke, the Harvard transfer, got in there as well. And I will add, there's a middle linebacker grad transfer out of Cal, Nate Ruchena, who's been really impressive for us too. 6'4", 240, big dude in the middle.
Ooh,
And he's
goodness.
he's been physical and good as well. He was good that game.
So, obviously, in a game like this, you win, and the offense pops out to you. It's like, oh, we put up 50 points. That's great. But then Southern Utah puts up 34, and it's like, like, is that something to be concerned about? What do you think about the defense at UC Davis as it currently stands? Like, because I also, like you mentioned earlier, I feel like it's been a little up and down at times. What do you think about the UC Davis defensive unit currently as a
Yeah.
whole?
Yeah. Well, I think two things. One, it was 22-20 at half. Bad
Mm-hmm.
first half. Bronson
Yeah.
Barons played football for 12 years in
Yeah.
college. And Joshua Dye, the UTEP transfer, was explosive and talented. And they did get after a little bit. In the second half, we held them to a touchdown.
Yep.
And then they scored with 40 seconds left. It was like one of those drives where they're like calling timeouts. We're
Like
calling
Idaho
timeouts.
did last weekend.
Yeah, like, don't let that happen. We don't want it to
Yeah.
look that close. Like, it's not that close. It's 50-27. It's been like that
Yeah.
most of the second half. So I would say, like, I started to see a big shift in the second half of the Southern Utah game where we looked way better. And then the Weaver State game for me was a big confidence boost because we get after the quarterback. And the
Mm-hmm.
last few years under Coach Coombs, he's an Oregon guy. He played football at Yale and coached at Bellevue High School in Washington, one of the best high school football programs in the state of Washington. He stops the run and he
Mm.
doesn't blitz that much historically. And this year we've seen more pressures. We've seen way more sacks. All
Yeah.
the D linemen, or three of the four D linemen, have multiple sacks. And
Ooh.
so I think I've seen like a D line really get after it. And there's two linebackers that play the majority of the snaps inside, Porter Connors, Rex's twin
Yep.
brother,
Yep.
who've been really good. And Rex got injured in this game. He was in at Wildcat, actually playing quarterback. Got,
Wow.
kind of like scrum pushed, tush pushed into the end zone a little bit
Mm.
and was down afterwards. And so, yeah, the tone of my voice is a bit subdued because we are looking at that and like taking a big sigh and sending prayers up because all that I've said about defense, like he is the guy filling and making the plays majority of the time. I mean, he's
Yeah.
averaging 11, 12 tackles a game.
He's a
So
freak.
when you lose that, um, there's naturally concern. Now, we have two transfer safeties, Cole Batson out of Boston College, Kalani Riddick out of SEMU, who are both very talented, but they're not the same. They're not like the physical fill type guys. And so I'm wondering how they're gonna replace that if he's not able to go this week and any other weeks moving forward.
Wow, that's definitely something to pay attention to. I mean, I have him pegged as the Big Sky Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he
Yeah.
is a freak. He's multiple time all conference. He's everything for that UC Davis defense. So that's definitely something to pay attention to. Weber State, I feel like you guys kind of beat down on Weber State as you should. Weber State's has not been that great since they went on that run of Big Sky championships.
Yeah.
Looking forward to Cal Poly this week. Obviously, I mean, I think they're 2-1 versus the FCS. The one loss against Stephen F. Austin.
Mm-hmm.
They look all right, man. They got a good quarterback. They played Bo Kelly last week, but Ty Diefenbach has been like kind of the guy that I've seen pop up.
Yeah.
Michael Briscoe obviously is the player, though. What do you think about this Cal Poly game coming up?
Well, yeah, you had posted something about him, maybe in the off season, or maybe it was the beginning of this season, but he's hella talented out wide. I'm excited for the game because in recent years, Cal Poly, we've beaten soundly. I think it was 63-10 last year.
Woo.
They have not been good in recent years. And I was telling Mitchell Dixon when he was on our pod, I was like, hey, when I was playing, like this was one of the top teams on the West Coast. Like
That
we
triple option.
year in and year out had to deal with that. I hated getting cut in practice. It would be one of those practice weeks where it would be full pads all of the days and you're actually getting cut. And I remember my
Ugh.
legs were so swollen I could like push my fingers through my freaking shins and it'd be
Woo.
like that it was not pretty. Physical teams back then when
Mm-hmm.
they shifted and they got Bo Baldwin, like it just it didn't work. It was
No.
such a massive shift in culture and everything that they
Recruiting.
had been known for. Yeah, like the kids you have, and then it's a beautiful area, but it's also like an interesting area because it's not LA and it's not the
Mm-hmm.
Bay. And that there's actually a surf company in SLO, and that's their slogan. Not LA, not the Bay. It's just
Wow.
this little pocket on the central coast. It's stunningly beautiful. But I would say they also struggle at times with like the school support and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's homecoming for them. It's the battle of the Golden Horseshoe. They do look better. Like
Yeah.
I watched the San Diego game. Um, you know, that guy I think can do some things. So it'll be interesting, for us. What I look at is Caden Pinnock going on the road for a fun away trip where you're going to have a big crowd and you might have some injury concerns on your side for UC Davis. So it might be a little bit more like on the offense's shoulders to make some plays, but we got dudes.
Yeah.
I haven't even talked about receivers, but like I
About
guess
to.
I would ask you, like, what do you think, if I can, like, what do you think of Sam Batu, dude? Like, this
Man, I
guy
think he's
for
sick.
us is, yeah,
I think
next
he's
level.
sick, man. I think he's sick. And I feel like he didn't get enough attention last year because of Land Larison and Miles Hastings, how good they were. And just, I mean, Land Larison was the marquee player at UC Davis. Anytime you're talking about UC Davis, you're talking about Land Larison. But Batu had like 800 receiving yards last year, like high 700, 800, somewhere around there. Like he was a good receiver last year, and I don't think a lot of people talked about him coming into this season. I noticed him, and then obviously Briscoe was the other player I noticed. But like, I I think he's sick, man. I think he's a really good player. What did he have? 4 for 112 last week and a touchdown,
Mm-hmm.
averaging
Yeah,
like 25
85
yards a
yarder.
catch. Like
Yeah.
that's what he can do. He's an explosive receiver. I talked to him at the Big Sky Media Day, which you guys should try to make it to next year. That's good for
Yeah.
like media people to
Yep.
talk to the players and stuff. But I talked to him at the Big Sky Media Day, and just finding out about how he got into the game late, how he got his offer to come to UC Davis, and all the things like his first offer, talking about Air Force and things like. I just think he's a cool player. We obviously have the same name. I think he's nice, man. I think he's nice, man. So I've been impressed with this game. I think he's honestly, for where I think he is in the Big Sky Conference, like I would put Michael Briscoe and then Batu would be the number 2 guy for me in the Big Sky Conference. I mean, Wortham, if you want to call him a receiver, he's kind of like a gadget guy to me. I would put Batu as that number 2, like solidified receiver. I feel like he's kind of started the season slow. I mean, last week he had a really big game against Weber State, but I don't know. I haven't really seen him pop this year, so I'm excited to see him get more opportunities and have the ability to really go off as conference play gets going.
Yeah, it's kind of a herky jerky year in some ways for the receivers. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've said this a lot. Like we have shorter receivers. Like you're
Yeah.
not going to see Samuel Kim out there. Like there's no one
Or
who's
Keelan
looking free.
Doss.
No, there's no freaky long arm dudes who are gonna moss you in the end zone like you and
Yeah.
Keelan would. But similar to that game in 2018 when you and Keelan both scored when it was in Missoula, like this will be fun to watch two receivers who probably the two best receivers. And Briscoe's a local kid. He's from Vacaville. That's 20 minutes from Davis. It's like a tweener city,
Wow.
cowtown in between the Bay and Davis.
They didn't
And
offer?
so I mean, you look at his career though, and some of these careers are interesting. Like he finally kind of broke onto the scene last year
Yeah.
and had some explosive plays, but not like a ton of receptions or anything
Not a
like that.
ton.
Just some plays that popped. And
Mm-hmm.
I think Batu, going back to like why he hasn't necessarily had the same opportunities. Well, one, a touchdown against Mercer doesn't count apparently,
Yeah, right,
um,
right.
and then two, like freshman quarterback who runs the ball, and
Mm-hmm.
we've been averaging 200 yards rushing a game.
Yeah.
So we
If it
just
ain't broke, don't
haven't
fix
had
it.
the, yeah, like on against Washington, throw it out.
Yeah.
Mercer doesn't count.
Yeah.
Utah Tech had a big catch and run to win the game. Batu did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Weber State last week, 85-yard touchdown to salt the game away. So I still think he's the same dude. I think,
Mm-hmm.
as you know, playing the position, opportunities sometimes are there and sometimes they aren't. And so it's still a long season, but I think he's going to continue to make some splash plays.
Especially one of the biggest things I think about that as to why maybe he hasn't popped as much this year is because last year nobody's really focused on him. They're focused on Land Larison. They're
Yeah.
focused on Miles Hastings. They're focused on stopping the run, that offensive line. This year, it's like, yeah, they got a good run game. Yeah, they got a young quarterback, but like that is one of the guys. He's on the scouting report, and he's probably
Yep.
circled on the scouting report. Like, if anybody's not going to beat us, it's not going to be this guy. We
Yep.
can't let that guy beat us. So, man, it's been exciting to kind of see where they're at. Where would you say currently, and I got a few more questions for you, where would you say you see this UC Davis squad ranked currently? I know you're a homer, but like where do you see them compared to the NAUs, compared to the MSUs, compared to the Montanas currently as we're sitting going into week 6?
Yeah, I actually did a poll on our Instagram and I asked people and I tagged some like fan accounts for the other fans, which shout out to Northern Arizona Barstool because they just took over the poll. All of a sudden I was like, how the heck does Northern Arizona have 85% of this answer? I said, like, who's the most impressive team so far in the Big Sky? The
Yeah.
Montanas, Northern Arizona, or Davis? Because for me, it's those four at
Yep.
the top, which at the beginning of the year, those four were at the top of our preseason predictions. I will say Montana State has had a very hard schedule. And so the 3-2 is misleading because they
Yeah.
played South Dakota State, they played Oregon. They did
Mm-hmm.
get trounced by Oregon, but Oregon might be the best FBS team in the country.
Yep.
Um, and so, the Mercyhurst game was a little weird. Wasn't as impressive from them, but then last week they just what the heck just happened to Eastern Washington? So I am still going to put. I'm one of those guys who probably is a little bit more traditional in that, like, until you show me this year, I will give respect to Montana State because
Yep.
they've
You got
been
to beat
that
the
team.
champ.
Even though Montana went to the national championship a couple years ago, I felt like it was a hot run. I didn't feel
Mm-hmm.
like it was a program that has been on the same level as Montana State. It was a hot run, which good
Yep.
for them, and that's still legit in its own way. I do think Montana would be after Montana State. Because you've watched it. It's been very impressive.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit surprised because last year it felt dysfunctional from the outside in all ways. Like it just looked dysfunctional. Everyone's upset. Your guy is your head coach is like, I don't know what Coach Houck was those conversations were like, but we all saw bits and pieces in public. What were they like
Yeah.
in private?
Right.
Um, from a Northern Arizona, I would put us above Northern Arizona. I
I would too.
think going back to Coach Plow, like we have the talent. Um, we know what it'll come down to. The last 3 weeks of the year at Idaho, at Montana State, at Sac State, who we thought would be better, but they're still talented too. For
Yeah.
me, it comes down to in the trenches, stopping the run, and in the trenches, running the ball.
Yeah.
We can run the ball this year. Can we run the ball in Bozeman? Can we run the
Yeah.
ball in Moscow? And so
Moscow.
those
Yeah.
are the things that I'm looking at.
So you mentioned the Sac State, and I wanted to bring them up because I voted in the Big Sky Media poll this year. I was the sole voter that put Sac State as I predicted that they would win the conference. Obviously, that's not looking like a strong pick right now, and I look like a goofball. But being that they're your rival, what are kind of your thoughts about what's been going on at Sac State and where they are currently? They're currently sitting at 2-3. Cardell Williams just threw 3 interceptions, 1 pick six last weekend. Like, what do you think about where Sac State is at right
Oh man, let's
now?
start our own documentary series on Sac State ultimately. And you bought into the hype, and a lot of people did, and
Yeah,
they could still change the thing. Like
they could.
it's still early enough
Yep.
where you could see a shift. Man, it's hard to even know where to start. I mean, I'll start at the quarterback position because I know Jaden Rashada from being a local kid. He played at Pittsburgh High School, had the big NIL offer from
Ah,
Florida. Really fun place to go watch a game. Always got a ton of talent, great coaching staff. My high school had a lot of coaches go coach at Pittsburgh. And so knowing about him from a young age, seeing his journey to then not even having it work out thus far at Sac State,
yeah,
which is he probably going to get another shot because Cardell isn't, just blowing it up? Maybe he might.
yeah,
And so the quarterback is everything on a football program, unless you're rushing for 350 yards a game like Montana State would do sometimes. I mean, I think it's everything. And so, I think in life when you have strong opinions, and I get this even for myself, um, you are going to get strong opinions back at you if it doesn't add up. And so they've been very loud, and that's not the UC Davis way. And so I'm not going to sit here and like ish talk them,
yeah.
but they're 2-3. They've struggled so far this year. They should have beat Nevada. They kind of
Yes.
punted that away on their own doing, like interesting play calling. But some people didn't want Dion to do well because Dion's Dion and he's Coach Prime and he's loud. I think some people probably feel similarly to Coach Marion, like they're loud, their president is loud. But in life, I mean, to root against someone uh, is probably not the best way to live, and so we will potentially be playing our last Causeway Classic at the end of this year. It'll be at home at UC Davis Health Stadium, and they're leaving the Big Sky, and we don't have room in our schedule for the next few years to play them. And who knows what happens, right? Life's crazy.
Yeah.
Texas A&M didn't play Texas for like over a decade, which was just
Yeah.
wild. That was my
Oklahoma and
favorite.
Oklahoma State don't play anymore.
It's wild. So this could be a similar situation, and I think we'll be much better than them record wise by the end of the year. And yet I think it's a dangerous game. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I don't think your pick was dumb. I think you looked at a million recruits who are really good and a coach who had a good track record of blowing up offenses. And that's what Coach Plow did. And he
Yeah.
came home and it worked because he's an offensive wizard. It's not working at Sac State. And
No, man.
who knows what they told those kids, too. And then when you go to that stadium that's falling apart, and when you're at a program that has found ways to have dysfunction in the past, like it's been a weird one. But I'm rooting for Jaden Rashada. I feel for his situation. I hope he gets another shot, and I hope he plays well because he's a really talented quarterback that mentally, like, it just must be tough right now.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I appreciate you for that, man, because I know, man, I've been every time Sac State plays, somebody's in my mentions like, "Hey,
Oh yeah,
we know you picked them, so hey, we
they
gotta
should
let you
be.
hear it." They should be. And I tell them on my channel all the time. I say, "Hey, y'all let me hear it because I picked them. I gotta be the loudest talking about them. I gotta be the one every time they play. I gotta post something about them because I
Yeah,
did pick that, so I gotta be front and center."
yeah.
UC Davis plays Cal Poly this week. It's going to be an amazing game. I cannot wait. One more point about UC Davis and Cal Poly. Cal Poly plays UC Davis, then they play Montana, and then I believe they play Montana State. They got UC Davis, Montana State their next 3 games. I did say 0-3.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Keenan Curran, one of my former teammates, asked me, what do I think they go in that stretch? And to be fully transparent with you, I said I think they go 1-2, and who I think that one is going to be is UC Davis. So
It's okay, man. It's okay to be wrong again. Like
okay.
you were wrong with Sac State. You'll be wrong with the UC Davis Cal Poly pick. We're too talented, man. And
Yeah.
and Coach Coombs is a great DC. Like the defense is gonna get better every week. We saw it with Weber State. We're too talented on both sides of the ball. And even if
Yeah.
Rex doesn't play or some other guys don't play, it's a loaded secondary. We have all these guys who are all conference transfers or who played and started. Like Cole Batson had multiple picks
Yep.
and when he was healthy was a starter at Boston College. Kalani Riddick was a starter and all conference guy at SEMU. Like those are the Rex Connors replacements. It's not like a true freshman
Yeah.
who has never played ball. It's
Yeah.
fifth year seniors.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that's going to happen. Now, it's homecoming. Balls bounce weird.
Yes.
Briscoe's over the top a couple times. Like, who knows if it's Diefenbach or Bo Kelly, but, uh, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
If you want a prediction, I would say it would be like a UC Davis 31, Cal Poly 20 type game.
Yeah.
I think it will be a close game. I think it
Mm-hmm.
could be tied at halftime. I think we could be down at halftime, but my confidence is in our depth and in our coaching staff.
For sure. Well, I'm excited to see what happens. I appreciate you for being on, man. Thank you so much. This is Brock Galvin with the UC Davis Football Podcast. Thank you so much for your time today, man.
Thank you, dude.